Hello and welcome back to the One Decision Away podcast. I'm Elijah Meng, your host, and thanks for coming back. Today we're going to be talking about letting go of emotions. We're going to be talking about emotions in general, but letting go is a big part of this. And I have a couple of books right here. Now, Power versus Force, amazing book, but this author has another book called Letting Go. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I'm going to be getting into a little of the stuff that I've learned from that book, but also through many other platforms and mediums and also personal experience. So, now emotions, this is a big topic. Now, I've mentioned it before, but I think that it is quite underestimated and overlooked when it comes to the power that our emotions have in creating disease in our life and creating um, honestly, like it's a big part of what's at the core of a lot of the problems that we experience. And so that's why I want to talk about it. That's why a lot of the work that I do is focused around it. And that's why I will always continue coming back to it. And while other people are saying, oh, stop letting your emotions control you, stop letting blah, 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 like you need to just ignore your emotions and stuff like that. Or talking about how men shouldn't be feeling all kinds of emotions and stuff like that, or shouldn't be entertaining them. Um, I will always be here telling you that no, actually, you don't need to be overlooking. You don't need to be pushing emotions away. Emotions are not actually, they may be getting in your way, but they will get in your way even more the more that you just overlook, push them down, push them away, and just try to force your way forward without addressing the emotional things because they will either get in your way now through self sabotage, uh, because there's two parts of our mind, and really it's a big part of our body as well, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And while they are one, it's the main difference, and you're probably already familiar with this, the main difference is that the conscious mind is the part that you're aware of, the critical thinking, problem solving part of your mind. The subconscious mind is the most powerful part of your mind. It's what's operating below your awareness at all times. And the subconscious mind never sleeps. It never turns off. When you go to sleep, when you dream, that's the unconscious, the subconscious mind. It's always on and it's always working. And it's 100 times, a million times more powerful than your conscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the emotional mind. And so, well, so often we think that our emotions are getting in our way. If we just try to ignore them or work harder and push through them, um, so often that doesn't help because those are likely the very things that are at the core of what's holding you back from getting the results you want and making you think that you need to continue to work harder and push through them. Um, Now, I hope all of this makes sense. We're going to go deeper into it, but the solution may not be just ignoring them. The solution is likely more so addressing them, learning from them, and actually remaining open to them, listening to your emotions, listening to your body, listening to what the subconscious is telling you, because the subconscious is what is continually creating what you experience in your life. Like everything that you experience in your life is a reflection of your own consciousness. And that's everything that's going on below the surface in the subconscious. And so you're not as in control as you think you are in the aspect of willpower toward action, toward force. And it's funny that I bring that up because, again, power versus force. This book is so amazing. It's one of my top all-time favorite books, so I recommend you check it out. But it talks all about force and a lot of, like, if you've ever seen the map of consciousness, the consciousness scale that goes from the bottom, like shame and guilt, all the way up to the top, enlightenment, or yeah, I believe enlightenment, love, peace, acceptance. That originates from David Hawkins' work. And so It's like you need to address these things in order to truly ascend to the level of peace, happiness, enjoyment in your life that you want to experience, and overall fulfillment. And so often, those are the very things that are holding us back. It's not that we're not being disciplined enough. It's not that we're just not working hard enough, or that we just need to sacrifice more things and we just need to take all enjoyment out of our life and grind and hustle and focus to get the results that we want. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with hustle culture because that's what the traditional hustle culture will tell you. And they completely, like, that's what I'm talking about. They completely disregard the importance of actually addressing your emotions. Because the thing here is, like, when you address them, then you can get out of your own way. When you actually work through all the stuff that's going on subconsciously, then you can get out of your own way. You can make things easier for yourself. You don't have to rely on force and willpower and discipline and becoming a robot and working 24/7 to create the results that you want when you get those things out of your way. But in order to do that, you have to address them. You have to let go of the emotions that are holding you back. You have to go back and address certain traumas, things from the past that you've experienced that are still sticking with you subconsciously, because your life is not being created out of just conscious willpower and effort. It's being created 95 to 99 plus percent of your life is being created purely subconsciously. And our conscious willpower, our conscious effort, it the power of that will always be overcome by the power of our subconscious mind. So I want to now, when I say, I'm going to reference a little story from my life because, oh my gosh, when I first got started in this kind of work, in transformation, in all of this spirituality, exploring consciousness, and everything that I talk about, all of this work, personal development as a whole. When I first got started in all of this, I saw into the future that I would have a very strong influence on others, that I would be influential, that I would change people's lives, because I was beginning to change my own life and experience the results of that, and also allow my life to be changed by others. It's not just like I purely did it myself. Like, I got help. And if I hadn't been exposed to certain ways of thinking that I was exposed to through podcasts, audiobooks, reading, physical books like these, and so many more, then I would not have allowed myself to expand to the level of consciousness where now I am so much more free in my life. I'm so much more happy and just uh, fulfilled, and everything is better. My relationships, um, my business, everything. And if I hadn't allowed all of that, I would not be here. But anyway, I saw that I would end up having a very strong influence through things like this, through a social media following, through books that I write. I have one book published right now, but I'm working on another. And I know that there are many more to come, because writing is something that I really love and enjoy. And it helps me to really distill all of these things into a very powerful format, which I can then go and share with others. And so I just love that. And on top of that, speaking. And I remember when I was first envisioning it, I was very, very, very nervous. Just like thinking about it, just thinking about the possibility, just thinking about the idea of me potentially doing that, doing public speaking, even posting on social media, putting myself out there, because I was consumed by so much fear. I held so much fear within me, and accompanied with that fear was also a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. And along with that, a lot of insecurity, a lot of a lot of sadness, a lot of shit that I was holding on to. And so, one thing that I can absolutely tell you about is letting go of emotions and growing in that aspect, and the importance and the power of doing so. Because if you genuinely want to be free, you need to. But looking at that future possibility, they say if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. And that's what I experienced. Like, that shit scared me in the moment. Just thinking about it, I would start sweating. My palms, my armpits would start sweating, and I'd just get all nervous and like, oh no, 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 no. There's no way. Like, I don't know. There's no way I'm doing that. Um, but little by little, I continued to push through a lot of the fears that I felt and experienced. Not at that extent of public speaking. I mean, I've done a little bit, but nothing huge. But I continued to push through those fears. And I also continued to face a lot of the emotions and process a lot of the emotions that I was holding within me. A lot of that, the fear that I was holding on to deep within me, that was causing me to see all of these things in life through this filter of fear. And that's something so important to understand is your emotions create a filter through which you see the world. And this goes along with what I said earlier. You only experience your own consciousness. So, like, you only experience your beliefs about yourself, about other people, about life as a whole. And so often your beliefs, your core beliefs, are influenced by the emotions that you're holding within you and your energy system in your body. Now, I talked a little bit about this in, I believe, my last episode or one of my last couple episodes. It was either the truth behind perfectionism and self judgment, or uh, something about powerful leadership and internal freedom. Um, and I went into this a bit, but when we hold certain emotions, when we experience traumatic events of any caliber, like it could be the smallest shit. It could be losing your parents in the grocery store when you're a kid and you're scared and you don't know what to do. And then you find them 2 minutes later. Like, something as simple and basic as that could be a traumatic experience. And when we experience those things and we don't quite know how to fully allow ourselves to process those emotions, or we don't really know how to handle those emotions, we hold on to them. Or if we experience certain emotions, like I talked about this a lot in in I think two of the last episodes, mainly the perfectionism and self-judgment one. Um, but like, if I personally experienced a lot of times where I got really angry, but I felt like anger was bad and I didn't allow myself to actually feel, process, or express that anger. And so I shoved it down and I held on to it unconsciously. I didn't even know that's what I was doing, but that's something I've had to come back to and face. And it's real. Um, so like any kinds of experiences like that, we hold on to them and they stay within our body. They stay within our energy system. And as I mentioned before, our body is an energy system. And when it's obstructed by stuck energy, by emotions that we're still holding on to, it creates disease. It creates physical disease in our body, and it also creates dis-ease emotionally and in our well-being, in our quality of life that we experience. It causes us to feel disconnected in our relationships. It causes us to isolate ourselves. It causes us to have all these automatic reactions where we really just want love, but we're pushing away our partner, or we're pushing away our parents, or we're pushing away even your kids. Um, like, I find it crazy and interesting. I've never been a parent. I'm not a parent, but I mean, I'll experience it one day. But I always find it interesting when I see like parents getting so mad and angry at their kids, and it's like, there's a valid reason to that. It's because they're bringing up certain things within ourselves. And kids are like a perfect mirror because we, I'm speaking as if I do this, we, like as people will raise them and they become, you know, more like us in certain ways, and they reflect back to us parts of ourselves that we don't like, or maybe they're stubborn and it triggers us, and you know, all kinds of things like that. I don't want to go too much on that topic, but I just find it interesting, and I'll experience it someday. But it's, again, that's something that it's just trying to teach us more self-awareness. It's just trying to teach us more so to face those things deep within us. And so obviously the question arises, how do we even face these things? How do you actually let go of these emotions to free yourself from that disconnection, isolation, emotional, physical isolation that you experience, or tension in your relationships? If you or the people around you like feel like you're walking on eggshells around each other, like that's not healthy, and it's some kind of emotional shit that needs to be addressed. And if you're experiencing it, the first place to always look is yourself. It's not their fault. Like, it might partially be their fault, but that you can't do anything about that. You need to look within yourself. And so I referred to, it's a process that I kind of interpreted mainly after reading the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. And it's a 4-step process. First of all is becoming aware of the chaotic thoughts that you're having in your mind. Like, so often when we feel emotions, when we feel uh, fear, when we feel like nervous or maybe scared to put something out there, and then we get into all these thoughts about self-judgment, about, oh, I'm not, this isn't good enough, I'm not good enough. Like, you have all these thoughts just building on top of each other of negativity, and they might even be like a form of attacking yourself in a way. You need to recognize, the first step is becoming aware of those thoughts, and then recognizing that thousands and thousands of thoughts often stem from one single emotion that we're holding on to. And so you need to recognize that and lessen the importance of the thoughts and paying attention to what you're thinking, and increase the importance and the focus on what you're feeling. Because so often our thoughts are a way to distract from feeling the emotions that we're actually feeling. And it's a mechanism of the ego to continue to push emotions down and not experience them, because it's safer. In our mind, we have a belief that it's safer to think all of those thoughts, experience all of those judgments, and think it through, intellectualize all of it. It's safer to do that than it is to actually feel the emotions. When really, if we felt the emotions, it would relieve us of so much suffering. If we actually just took a second and tuned into our body and tuned into the actual feelings, it would relieve us of so much suffering. And so that's step 3. I believe, yeah, step 3 is tuning into the body. Step 2 is identifying what you're actually feeling. And step 3 is tuning into the body and allowing yourself to feel it. This is just off of memory, so I think it's something like this. But this is the general process either way. Um, Becoming aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, recognizing that you can have thousands of thoughts stem from one single emotion, identifying what are you actually feeling in your body, letting go of all the thoughts, intentionally letting go of all the thoughts, bringing your focus fully into your body, and allowing yourself to physically, energetically experience the emotion that you're feeling in your body and process it. And just bringing your awareness to the sensation in your body, disregarding all of the thoughts. And that is how you actually let the emotions go. That's how you actually process them. That's the 4-step process of letting go. And so you need to utilize this. And among this, uh, somatic work, like this is a form of somatic work, but it could be breath work. It could be um, TRE, trauma release exercises, where you just allow your body to do its thing and move and shake and, do whatever it needs to do. You're not controlling it, you're just allowing it. I would recommend you look that up, TRE, trauma release exercises, if you feel that's something that you might need to do. On top of the 4-step process of letting go, that's another way. And they're all going to benefit you. But see, these are things that need to be addressed. And, some of the biggest shifts that I've personally felt in letting go of these emotions are, one, from doing the 4-step process of letting go. Like when you fully recognize what's happening in the moment, and then you can become aware of the energy in your body that's at the core of the thoughts that you're thinking, then you can allow yourself to become present with the emotion. That's what you need to do. You need to become present with the emotion and allow it to be expressed, allow it to come up, allow yourself to feel it, whatever that looks like or feels like for you. Like, it's going to intensify, it's going to get really strong, but you need to feel it until it's done being felt. That's the secret, that's the key. And it's really not much of a secret. You just need to actually do it. Feel it until it's done being felt. And so on top of the 4-step process of letting go, personally, I've found some of the biggest releases through writing a letter to myself about some of the stuff from my childhood that I held on to the most sadness from. And it just brought so much of that sadness that was just held and pushed down unconsciously to the surface. And I mentioned it before, but like Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It's not really fate. It's your unconscious doing what it does. It's at the core of the creative process that is your life. And so until you bring that to your awareness, it's gonna control your life. And before I processed all of that sadness, I was depressed. I was anxious, like a lot of the time. And after doing that, there's more and more and more of a release. And then continually doing that, continually allowing myself to actually feel and process my emotions, there's more and more and more and more and more of a release. Um, so like recognizing those things, like I've said it before, but those diagnoses of anxiety, depression, so often, like I can't give you an exact statistic, but I want to say 99% of the time, that shit is not, it's not, in your genes. It might be in the energy that you took on from your parents and that they took on from their parents, and that's how it's passed down to the family, but it's not in your genes. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of deep shit repressed and pushed down, depressed, and it hasn't been allowed to come up or be experienced or be processed. And so you feel depressed because you're constantly, your whole psychology is doing all this work all the time to keep these emotions pushed down. And so you're unconsciously self-sabotaging. You're unconsciously doing things, holding yourself back from results, because when you don't get those results, you tend to produce more feelings of hopelessness, more feelings of unworthiness, or you keep getting yourself into certain situations and doing, I'll just call it dumb shit, that ends up causing you to feel guilty because you have so much guilt you're holding within yourself that's just begging to come up. But the whole psychological process within you is pushing it down because that's what's safe. You need to create a safe space for yourself to actually feel and experience the emotions. And so that is the core of this work, and releasing your emotions in whatever form that looks like, right? I mentioned a few of them, but ultimately it's allowing them to come up. It's being present with them and holding that space for yourself. And if you don't feel like you can hold that space for yourself, get some help because it's going to change your life. If this is the work that you need to do, and for the large majority of people it is, it's going to change your life. Like if you feel numb on the regular, like you don't really feel super happy, you don't even feel super sad or depressed. You're just going with the flow. You're just neutral. You're numb. Or, you smoke weed multiple times every single day. That's a form of numbing the emotions that you don't want to feel. Or you drink regularly. But any addiction is just an unwillingness to feel an emotion. And so identify those things within yourself and give yourself a space. Like allow yourself to feel these things, knowing that you are safe. And yeah, I mean, get some help. Ask, uh, look, like there's help everywhere. You need to be open to it if that's what you truly need. If not, like this is also stuff that you can do on your own, but sometimes it's very deeply rooted. It's very, very, very fucking uncomfortable. And it can honestly be dangerous to experience and to allow a lot of these deeply repressed unconscious emotions to come up without any form of external guidance. So I do want to say that and like be weary with it. Like don't uh just force yourself to go all the way in, because it can be dangerous because these emotions have a mind of their own. And yeah, anyway, I feel like that's all I have to say on this right now. And I got a call I gotta get to. So anyway, I hope this actually helped you, and I hope you got something valuable from this. If you did, please share, drop a comment, let me know, share your biggest takeaways or insights or any questions that you may have that I can answer in a future episode. Greatly appreciated. Just let me know your thoughts, and I again hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Um, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple, make sure you follow the podcast and give this show a rating and review if you love it. That is greatly appreciated. It helps us grow and reach more people and spread this powerful message to more people, which is important. Transformation, healing, and changing your life and the lives of those around you as a result. Because there is an inevitable ripple effect when you do this work on yourself. And so I encourage you to share this with somebody else who you feel may need or benefit from it as well. Be a light, to the people in your life. It's literally priceless. And yeah, and remember that you get to decide to do this work. You get to decide to be free. And in your decision to be free, you will inevitably go through the process. You will inevitably face everything that you need to face in order to become so. And so decide on it, a firm decision. I will be free. I will be happy. I will be successful. That's what I mean by decision, like a firm decision. And if you want to learn more about that and you haven't listened to it, go back to the first episode. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Remember, you're only one decision away from everything that you want in your life, from everything that you want to experience, from the greatest levels of love and peace and joy and fulfillment that you could possibly experience in this lifetime. So remember that. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.